Donatello has died. So what will happen now in the world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? This is Comicstorian. I take comic books, I break them down into an audio drama, we cut out some of the B-plots and some of the extra storylines, and we trim down on the panels. This allows there to be things for you to collect and go add to your collection, because we don't give it all to you right here. But it also helps us avoid potential copyright problems. I do highly recommend going to your local comic book store and starting up your own collection after you enjoy our audio dramas right here. And make sure you check out one of our sponsors, Shortbox, to start your collection today, a great app to help you get CGC graded comic books. As I said, Donatello died in our last episode. He orchestrated the ending of Krang, pitting Shredder versus Krang and both of them nearly dying. While both did survive, Shredder had a plan to kill the one who was betraying him, Donatello. He had Bebop and Rocksteady smash his shell and leave him for dead, and when everyone else arrived, there was no life left in the turtle. We now pick up with the next volume of this story. Darkness. Donatello opens up his eyes, shocked that he finds himself in a forest. In the distance, he can see a bright light. He gets to his feet and he begins to walk towards the light. "Please, stay a while and visit with me, my son." A voice calls out and Donnie turns to the sight of his mother, greeting him with open arms. Back in the world of the living, Honeycutt comes through the portal, excited to tell Donnie that they are victorious and that Krang has been imprisoned, but he is shocked to find everyone standing around with Splinter cradling the body of his son. "Those bastards killed him!" Raph growls, but Honeycutt moves forward, scanning the fallen turtle. "He's not dead," he exclaims to the group. Everyone is shocked as the robot explains that his vital signs are rapidly fading, that he is dying, but not dead, and he turns back to the group, ordering them to place Donnie's body into Harold's freezer. We need to slow down Donatello's cell metabolism, but that won't happen if we don't act immediately. He shouts at them, and as the brothers move Donnie, Honeycutt grabs Harold, pulling him back to the teleportation device, telling him that he must return to Burnow Island to get everything that he needs. After Honeycutt leaves, Splinter stares at the teleporter pad for a while, sitting on the floor, freeing his mind and allowing it to wander to the places between life. When he opens up his eyes, he stands in front of a great forest at the entrance to a maze. "Donatello, my son, it's your father. I know you are still alive. I have come to find you, to bring you home," he says as he sets off into the maze. And at the Foot Clan headquarters, Karai is busy trying to rally her troops, preparing for the return of Shredder, but she is suddenly interrupted by Kuyo and Bludgeon, the two mutants, sadly informing her that Shredder has been killed and that they were forced to retreat without retrieving his body. The two warriors offer their apologies, but Karai rushes forward, placing her blade against Kuyo's throat. "Enough! I will not have any more of your damned wallowing!" she shouts, turning back to her remaining forces, informing them that this is not the end, that they will call the outsiders from their ranks, that they will regroup and they will become strong again. "My grandfather may be gone, but the Foot Clan is not!" she shouts to the Foot. Meanwhile, on the streets of New York City, a couple is running away as a local store is destroyed by the Purple Dragon's gang, the owner being harassed. "That's right! Run and spread the word! The Purple Dragons are back!" one of them shouts, brandishing his crowbar. But Casey Jones comes roaring out of the shadows of a nearby alleyway, swinging his cricket bat, slamming it into the goon's stomach. "Didn't you chumps get the memo? This ain't dragon turf anymore!" he shouts, and the other goes for a gun, but Casey whirls around, knocking it out of his hands. "Which means you boys are trespassing!" he snaps. The big man in the shop comes stalking out, wondering what the commotion is. "Oh, hey, Link. I was just telling your boys you bangers aren't welcome here anymore," Jones says as he hits the big man in the knees, and Link tries to hit him with his chain, but Casey blocks it with his cricket bat, kneeing the guy in the face, dropping him. "Oh, wow. You beat them all," the shop owner says with wonder as he steps out, shaking Casey's hand, introducing himself as a run. Casey hands over the cricket bat, telling the owner that he needs to defend himself if they come back. "I'll see you around, and don't forget, this is our neighborhood. Spread the word." Casey calls to him, and a run tells Casey to look out for himself, as there was another big guy with the gang. And as Casey rounds the corner, he sees the other big guy, his father, trying to break into another shop. Meanwhile, over in the afterlife, Donatello is asking his mother how he got into the forest. She smiles and laughs that he was always searching for impossible answers. They talk briefly about the light, how it is warm and inviting, and how Donatello wants nothing more than to walk into it. "Where exactly am I, Mother?" he asks her, and she just smiles at her son. Perhaps the more appropriate question would be, where are you going? Meanwhile, in the living world, Honeycutt is managing to get everything that he needs from Burn now, and he places a device over Donatello's head, readying his machine. If we are successful today, revitalization is only the beginning of the process, Honeycutt explains to Harold, the scientist looking at his friend sadly. I hope you're right, Honeycutt. Please, be right. He whispers, and Honeycutt turns back to the table, reaching for the switch. It's time, he says. Outside of the freezer, though, others are waiting anxiously. But Raph is angry, believing that this is all their fault. Come on, Raph. Now is not the time to lose it, Alopex tells him, trying to comfort her friend. Now is exactly the time, damn it! He shouts, turning back to his brothers, pointing out that they should have taken out Shredder instead of helping Honeycutt fight against the Technodrome. Krang's still alive. We don't know where the hell Shredder is, and our brother's dying, he shouts, but Mikey suddenly jumps to his feet. Shut up, Raph! Everyone looks at him in surprise as the normally happy turtle is showing anger. Just shut up! We saved the world! Donnie being happy if he was awake. Happy that we stopped the Technodrome. Just like he wanted. Can you please just shut up? You complain and complain about what we should have done, what we could have done better, but you're just making it worse. Raph just glares at his brother before bellowing in anger, punching the wall. And he finally turns, walking away. Afterwards, Leo returns to the freezer door, looking through the small window. He's right. We may have stopped Krang, but we have no clue what's up with Shredder. All I can say is that if Shredder is alive, he's going to wish that he wasn't, he says triumphantly. And over in the penthouse apartment of Stockman, Shredder snaps awake on Stockman's bed, his wounds dressed. Ah yes, home sweet home, Stockman says on the balcony, where he sips a whiskey. Shredder leaps to his feet, grabbing a hold of the scientist. Where have you taken me? He shouts, and Stockman smiles at him, pointing out that he is the one who saved Shredder. This is my home, and I am not one of your sniveling minions, ninja. He reminds him, and he points out that Shredder had no issues with being partners when Stockman pulled him off of the beach. That he needs him and his army to re-establish himself. If, however, you've changed your mind about our partnership, he says, pushing a button on his watch, calling in a pair of flyborgs, then I'm sure my friends will have no problem seeing you out, he says with a smile, and Shredder relents, agreeing to talk about their partnership. But our first order of business is to find and destroy the rat and his infernal brood, he snarls. But back in the afterlife, Donatello doesn't understand his mother's questions. And she explains that he has many paths that he can take. But Splinter is meanwhile pushing his way through the maze, refusing to give up on his son. Finally, he comes out of the maze to see his son standing by a great tree. Donatello, my son, I am here. It's time to return home, Splinter says. And Donnie looks back, but his mother has disappeared and begins to walk towards Splinter, who leads him out of the clearing. Please, my son, your family needs you, Splinter tells him gently, leading Donnie back to the world of the living. He opens up his eyes to see a happy Harold, shaded in red. I can't believe it's working! Harold shouts with joy, and Donnie is confused, asking where he is, wondering why he feels so weird. That's when he looks down to see the robotic hands of Metalhead. What have you done to me? Donnie asks from Metalhead's body. A short time later, Donnie is working through Metalhead to make sure his body is properly taken care of. The best I can do for myself now, he says after hooking up everything to his body to help him heal. His brothers and his father are with him, promising that they'll do everything that they can to help. We'll even spit shine our mitts, Mikey says with a smile, and Leo looks at Donnie, asking if he's okay. Honestly, Leo, no, I am not. No matter how it seems, this is just really freaking me out, Donnie says as he looks down at his metal head hands. He sighs, walking out of the room, leaving the others to wonder what they can do for him. Meanwhile, Raph is outside with Alopex still trying to help him deal with the situation. He's a robot! Raph hisses at her as she puts a hand on his shell. Wrong. He's your brother and he needs you, she says softly. He's not the only one, Leo says, interrupting them, pointing to Mikey, telling Raph that they need to search for Hob and his crew. Father thinks the city is going to be in flux after everything that has happened. We need to get a beat on things as quickly as we can, Leo explains, and Raph agrees, moving off with his brothers, thanking Alopex for their talk. What are friends for? She says with a smile, but after they leave, she is joined by Angel. Friends, huh? The woman says with a smile. And the two of them move off into the night, with Angel stating that they could swing by the second time around the store. I want to find out what Casey's been up to, she says. Over at the store, Casey walks into the door to find the O'Neills arguing with a drunk Arnold Jones. Perfect timing, I was just talking about you, kid, His father slurs, and Casey gets in between his father and the O'Neills, brandishing his bat, ordering his father to leave. But Arnold explains that now that the foot is done, it is time for he and his son to get back together. Casey shakes his head, ordering his father to leave. What, didn't you hear me, kid? I'm my own boss again! Arnold snaps at Casey, the door suddenly bursting open, revealing Angel and a growling Alopex. Get lost, Arnie! Angel orders, and Arnold snarls with anger, but finally stalks out of the store as Alopex introduces herself to the family. Angel pulls Casey aside and tells him the bad news. Meanwhile, Karai is standing in front of the Foot Clan, explaining to the Foot Clan that they will rise again. But know this, if I am to lead you now, then the path we follow moving forward will be different. It will be our path and our path alone. We will no longer allow outsiders to enter the sanctity of our ranks. The feet are a family and strangers are not welcome, he says, raising her sword, telling those gathered that they will hunt down those that have hurt the Foot Clan. Our master is dead, but our clan lives on, she shouts, and those gathered begin to cheer, chanting the Foot Clan. Elsewhere in the city, Mikey is sitting with his friend Woody, enjoying a slice of pizza as he fills him in on everything that has happened recently. Thanks, man. I needed this. Now I've got some mute animals to go find, Mikey says as they finish up their pie. No worries, bro. Just remember, tough as you ninja dudes are, it's okay to ask for help from your friends sometimes, Woody says with a high five. Meanwhile, at the university, April is sitting with Professor Miller as he explains that thousands of years ago, the world was controlled by a small family of immortals, beings with strange powers that mysteriously disappeared during a massive flood in time of great calamity. Legends state that they are hiding in the shadows, waiting for the time that they could return and use the mortals as pawns in their endless game of control. The ultimate prize being the control of the world. He explains, and he also tells her that the scroll has a companion book that was lost somewhere in America. She thanks him taking the scroll, explaining that she'll want to show it to Splinter. Back at the O'Neills, Casey and Alopex and Angel are enjoying a home-cooked meal, with Casey getting to his feet, meaning to call April to see how her night went. But when he gets to the window, he looks outside, shocked at what he sees. Angel joins him by the window. You know how this was an eventful night? Looks like we're getting to the main event. She says as they look at the gathering of the purple dragons below, led by the still drunk Arnold. Yo, idiots! Time for the purple dragons to remind the street who's really in charge! Splinter sits by candlelight, meditating over his life, and his son's body is sitting close, still healing from his ordeal. Splinter looks at Donatello, a bead of sweat broken out on his forehead, and he gets up, placing a damp cloth against him, making sure that he's comfortable enough, even though his soul now resides in a machine. Splinter sits back down, unwilling to leave his son's side. Meanwhile, the other brothers are moving across the rooftops, with Mikey finally catching up to them, telling him that he couldn't find Hob in the mutant army. And I looked high and low, trust me, says, but the brothers aren't mad. They just look down on the city where the gangs have already taken to the streets in the absence of the Foot Clan. Look at that, purple dragons strutting around like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off. Raph scoffs, and Leo nods, pointing out how they aren't even trying to hide it anymore. Like they aren't afraid that they're going to get arrested. Maybe we should go down there and do something about it, fellas. Isn't that like un-ninja-like, bro? We'll be exposed, Mikey points out, and Leo nods, but believes that it's time for them to start breaking some of the rules, leaping down to the streets. Raph looks at Mikey in surprise. Pitch me, I'm dreaming! Best patrol ever! He shouts, and he and Mikey leap after their brother. They're amongst the purple dragons in seconds, leaping, punching, and kicking them away, with Leo slicing through an enemy's bat, while Raph slides along the ground, tripping up another. It ain't like you to punch first, Leo. Not that I'm complaining, Raph points out. Well, if the last few months have taught me anything, it's that sometimes you have to take things head on, Leo says as he flips over another gang member. Mikey whirls around with his nunchucks, knocking several thugs in the teeth. Don't worry, we won't tell father on you, he jokes, and the last goon drops, and the brothers look up, seeing Arnold and another group of thugs stalking towards them. Saves me the trouble of hunting down you nasty mutants. He sneers at him and rushes at Leo, throwing a massive punch that the ninja barely avoids. But Raph is already leaping at the gang leader. For Casey, you deadbeat scum! He shouts, but with Arnold whirling around, backhanding him away, he stalks forward, slamming his fist into the ground hard enough to crack cement. But Raph rolls out of the way. Hun, Karai sent us! A voice calls out, making Arnold stop short as he looks up to see Koya and Bludgeon. She wants to know why you skipped out on her when the rat and the crew attacked. She's a little concerned about your loyalty to the Foot. Bludgeon snarls, but Koya holds up a wing to stop her friend, pointing out that the turtles are here as well. It's time for a reptile feast! she says with a smile, and the mutants leap at their enemies as Arnold turns and runs. "Forget this!" he shouts over his shoulder. The brothers begin their fight with the larger mutants, but stop when a jet of fire separates them. "Look out!" Metalhead shouts, everyone looking at him, seeing him pointing his cannon at the foot mutants. "A warning shot! Move even a millimeter and the next one won't be," he orders, looking at his brothers. "Get ready, fellas, cause we're out of here," he says, firing a laser from his eyes that forces the mutants to fall back, allowing the turtles to escape. Donnie then transforms into Metalhead's mobile form, and the brothers all escape, with Donnie going too fast, peeling out into an alleyway, where he crashes into a couple of trash cans. "Whoa, Donnie, are you okay?" Leo asks as the others rush to his side. "I'm good. I'm still trying to learn how to use this new body is all," Donnie says as they pick up old banana peels off of him. "Good to see you kicking butt again, man," Raph says as he pats him on the back. "Yeah, Robo Bro, that was totally awesome," Mikey says as he chucks a peel. Not sure what to do next, Leo informs them that they should all just head home. "I don't want to push our luck anymore," he says, and Donnie agrees. Despite all that we've been through, I believe that the worst is yet to come. Little did they know, Shredder stands in one of Stockman's factories watching as an army of Mausers and Flyborgs are being built. Over with Arnold, after he fled from the fight, he returns for a second time, but now he's surrounded by members of the Purple Dragon gang. "What, no welcoming committee?" he shouts into the night, but it doesn't take long for Casey, Angel, and Alopex to meet them in the streets. "Go home, Dad. You're drunk as a skunk," Casey tells his father, armed with several sports weapons, but Arnold scoffs, calling his son weak, telling him that he promises to teach him a lesson as he takes a long drag from his whiskey bottle. "Honor your father," he sneers, and Casey pulls down his hockey mask, prepared for the fight. With a roar, he leaps into battle, and Alopex and Angel are at his side. Others from the streets seeing the carnage, and they head out to help those that have protected them. The two of them grab a hold of Casey, pinning his arm so that Arnold can beat him. But something hits Arnold from behind, and the other goons quickly get smacked across the face. "Mr. O'Neill, a run. What are you doing?" Casey says in shock as he sees who saved them, his eyes widening as he sees April's father wielding a toaster from the kitchen. "No biggie, just helping a neighbor," O'Run stammers. "It's all I had time to grab," John says as he holds the toaster over his head, and he throws it onto another goon, while Angel and Alopex take out the others around them. "What now, Casey?" John asks. "Well, unless you got another toaster handy, batter up," Casey tells him as he hands him one of his bats, and he pulls a hockey stick out of his bag. Arnold roars as he rushes at his son, but Casey ducks the attack, hitting him in the neck with the hockey stick. The other neighbors begin to flood out onto the streets, beginning to help them fight the Purple Dragons. Casey hits his father again, bringing him to the ground, where John and O'Run both hit him with the bats and the hockey stick. Arnold gets to his feet, angry again. "You think you're the only one with a new family around here?" he shouts at his son, but Casey motions with his head, pointing out the fact that the Purple Dragons are all running in fear from a crowd of angry neighbors who have come out onto the streets. Arnold looks for a moment before laughing. Casey can't figure out why, so Arnold explains that he was wrong about his new family, that the gangbangers were just weaklings that he can replace. Casey has already begun to replace his new family, having already left the Turtles and is now siding with the neighborhood. "Don't you see? The only constant in all of this is you and me. The way that we both handle any problem that gets in our way, even if that problem happens to be each other. The Jones way, fist and feet, with blood and broken bones," he says, putting his hand on Casey's shoulder, explaining that he has already taught him a lesson about what it means to be a Jones. "Hands off the kid, dirtbag!" a voice shouts, and he turns to see the police have arrived, with Elizabeth O'Neill pointing him out. "That's him, officer, the big one. His group started all of this." The police surround him, putting him in cuffs, and Detective Kara Lewis steps over to the O'Neills and Casey, thanking them for helping put away one of New York's most wanted. "Most wanted, huh? Not by me," Casey says as he walks back to the apartment with the O'Neills. Meanwhile, over in their lair, Master Splinter is going over the scroll that April has brought to him. "What do you think, Father? Should we destroy this one too?" Leo asks, but Splinter shakes his head. "This document not only speaks of threats from an ancient past, but of potential dangers to come as well. It would be beneficial to maintain some forewarning of future jeopardy," Splinter says, and the Turtles all study the scroll, but Splinter reminds them that they have more present concerns as he looks in on Donatello. The brothers quickly fill April in on everything that has happened, including with Hun and Casey. Well, if Hun's running around causing trouble, then it's all the more reason for Casey to go with me. They don't know what she's talking about, but she smiles. Break time is over. Time to get back to work. Back over at the Foot Clan, Karai, hearing the report of how the turtles managed to escape Koya and Bludgeon, she begins to get furious. Silence, you fools! Repelled by a secret weapon again? Your excuses are becoming as uninspired as your fighting skills. She snaps at them, but a voice makes her pause. And yet they speak truth, Shredder calls as he stalks out of a chamber, flanked by Stockman. Fortunately, secret weapons are not solely accessible to our enemies. He orders the others to leave the chamber as he takes his seat on the throne, looking at Karai and Baxter Stockman. We have important business to conduct. Karai tries to argue with Stockman, but Shredder waves her off, explaining that it is time for him to finally destroy Splinter and his children. He asks Stockman if he's ready as the scientist pulls a harness from his case and places it over his head. I was thinking that you would never ask, he says with an evil smile. He puts the harness over his head and begins the task of extermination. At his tower, the Flyborgs and the Mousers begin to move through the city. Throughout the city, those that have become tangled in the lives of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles look up in shock as an army of robots are flying above them. Donnie is residing in Harold's warehouse when he tries to get Harold and Honeycutt's attention, pointing to his radar, which shows something large and fast heading for the family's home. As the family and Splinter are trying to protect Donnie's body, the walls around them begin to crumble, and in walk the Cyborgs and the Mousers. Priority mission, kill the rat. They begin to repeat as the brothers prepare to defend themselves and their father. The story is only heating up in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have so many questions, like how are they going to save Donatello's body? What's going to happen to Shredder? Now that Stockman's involved, what's going to happen with Karai, Stockman, and Shredder? All of it is getting intense, and if you want to keep up with Turtles, we're going to move this to every Tuesday, which means every Tuesday, check back for another chapter of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time right here.